Hello there, welcome to Critical Reviews. It's time.
Oh, God!
Alien Earth, Episode 5. Now, these aren't getting many views, so I'd really appreciate it if you like my takes on these things, if you could share my content. But nonetheless, I am committed. And after this episode, I feel like I should be committed, because I think this episode actually drove me a little bit insane. I have written so many notes on this episode of non sequiturs, things that just don't make sense, motivations, scenes, cuts, dialogue, plot points. This is absolutely shocking. I will be going no holds barred on this full spoiler review, eviscerating this piece of crap. Strap in. We're beyond Express Elevator to Hell. This episode felt like they took Alien, the film, the 1979 classic film by Ridley Scott, bent it over a table and buggered it senseless. Here we go. We open up on the Imagine Not the Nostromo. We're told that it's 17 days out from Earth. Morrow is woken up. He's told that there's been a fire. A creature is loose. He's told this very casually. Hardly a good security report from his subordinate. They mention a shift change. Morrow says it's too early to be a shift change. Surely the point of being in cryo is you're in cryo for the whole sleep. The ship's automated. It only wakes you up if it needs you. Why are there unnecessary shift changes? How long are these shift changes? Do you wait 3 months in between shift changes? It doesn't make a lot of sense. If you're going to do shift changes, then surely you would just sleep normally. The whole idea of cryo is that you are effectively the same age when you get to your destination as you were, so you're not some old decrepit, because this is a 65-year mission, bear in mind. So, that's the whole point of cryo, is to sleep for the journey. I don't know why they're waking up, having meals again, going back into cryo, which is what was stated in the first episode. Makes no sense. Why they've got shift changes, that makes no sense. Anyway, while him and Clem was walking along, Clem says something about, did you know somebody was fucking Bronski? Bronski's one of the guys that's been compromised. And he's like, I recorded some of it. Do you want to see it? What the fuck is this diet? I mean, what the hell is going on? They get to the med bay. Zaveri is there. She's the acting captain now. She's the acting captain because the captain is dead. The captain is dead because the male doctor, Rahim, who's acting like he's basically always stoned, he's always smoking for a start, tried to cut the face hugger off of the captain after it detached through the tail. He says he made an incision. No, the tail is severed. Acid leaked all over and has, oddly enough, completely melted the captain. The captain is very, very, very dead. The female doctor that's there, who's called Chibuzo, is just useless. She's not very helpful at all. She's like, you did it, not me. No one seems to actually care. No one's like, oh my God, the captain's dead. What are we going to do? This is a disaster. They're just like, my bad, sorry. No professionalism, no nothing. It reminds me, oddly enough, of modern Star Trek. Now, I forgave this when it was on the Nostromo, and that they were more professional than these people by far, let me assure you, because they're basically space truckers. They're getting cargo, they're bringing cargo home. It's like an oil refinery, and they're dragging an oil refinery back. I get that. These should be professionals. Weyland Yutani has specifically sent these out on a mission to go get specimens. They should be more professional than this. Anyway, Chibuzo explains that basically there was a fire, the captain and Bronski went and put it out, and they both got face-huggered. What caused the fire? Morrow says. Dunno, they say. Like that is, I don't know. They are so inept. Chibuzo says the protocols are clear. Cryo any crew members that have come into contact with the aliens. Okay. Zaveri, who is one surly woman in charge, tells Morrow to meet her on the bridge. On the way out, the engineer, who I found is called Shmuel, tells them that basically they should just eject them both into space. It's safest. Shmuel's a smart dude. They should listen to him. Anyway, he tells Morrow that what they wouldn't tell him, and I don't know why, is that navigation is fried. They are on a direct course to Earth, and they can't slow down, they can't stop, and they can't change course. We then cut to Chibuzo going to a lab, and on the way in, she's with Clem. Clem's like, I need to sweep the area. And she's like, no. Look, all the panels are green. All the panels are green, then it's okay. If containment was broken, they'd be red. Tell me this because they think the audience is stupid. Pay attention to that. Clem leaves. He's like, okay, must be fine then. Chibuzo goes over and starts singing to the facehugger. We then cut to an establishing shot of the Magic Not the Nostromo. It is massive. Every establishing shot we get just shows how big this ship is. It is absolutely phenomenally large. So, like, you could see the bridge, and on the Nostromo you could see the bridge, and you could see the bridge was, not huge, but a fair chunk of the ship. The rest of the ship is kind of engines. It made sense that ship might have a crew of like less than a dozen people. On the bridge, Zaveri and Morrow are talking, and Morrow says basically it has to be sabotage. You need to declare an emergency so I can start doing what I need to do to find out what's going on. Zaveri says, no, I'm going to consult Mother and get further orders. And Morrow basically says, I know you have been fucking Bronsky. It's against company regulations. I've got proof. That means you're compromised. I can take charge at any point. He's basically holding it over her. So she's like, okay, I'm going to go off. I'm going to call Mother. Bronsky is put into cryo. And here Rahim tells us about the 5 companies, again, basically explaining Weyland-Yutani want these creatures, blah, 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 blah. While they're in cryo, Tang is just perving over whatever this girl is who's there. He's just staring at her cryopod in a very creepy kind of way. He walks, he talks like a robot. After some cross-fading editing, we then come to Morrow, and we can see Morrow's inspecting the cargo, and we can see that there's an alien egg that's open. We can see through the top of the canister because they're designed that way, so you can see through the top of them, so the scene can happen. And he closes the door. It's a pretty pointless scene. He sees that there's acid on the floor. Just, doesn't really think any more of it. He then goes to the security room and reviews some footage to find out what happened. And it takes forever. This scene goes on for several minutes, far too long. We see that basically there was a fire. Bronsky and the cat went in there and put it out, and we know that because we were told that, so I don't think we really need to see it. And then after they put it out, they both get face hugged. Bronsky first, the captain afterwards. So I guess Bronsky beat the captain. It looks good, actually. The face hug after the animation, that scene looks good. In fact, all the scenes look good. There's bad editing, but the cinematography, the directing is fairly competent. The production design is beyond reproach. The recreation of the environments and everything like that is absolutely brilliant. I am gutted for the people that worked on this, that have then had this potentially great show ruined by some of the most inept writing I've ever seen, because the production quality is just phenomenal. This episode, by the way, is an hour long without credits. Further reviewing the security footage, we can see that there's this mystery man that sabotaged the panel and then opened the door with the eggs inside, but didn't get facehugged. There's plenty of time for a facehugger for the egg to open, facehugger to jump out and get him. Doesn't bother because reasons. And Morrow's like, who are you? So we then go to the cryo chambers. We can see that there's a maximum of 20 crew for this massive ship. Zaveri's there, and she's scattering dirt from Utar on the capsule. While she's doing this, she's having some kind of weird recollection of when they fucked. Morrow is also watching this on a screen while it's happening, and we're presuming that he's watching it at the time it's happening, but the editing is so weird. So while she's thinking about this man and being like romantic, she's just thinking about them having a very bad sex scene on the floor of a cargo thingy. Not in one of their rooms, their berths. You can see they've got separate berths. Whatever. And she can't act. She's awful. Anyway, get that scene out of the way. Then we cut to the engineers. Oh, God, this is really starting to hurt. The apprentice engineer doesn't know the difference between geology and biology. He's like, I thought this mission would be all about collecting rocks, it said, biology mission, blah, blah. And Shmuel's like, no, biology is the study of animals, rocks is geology. This guy, like, the apprentice literally has an IQ in the single digits, forget double digits. But his name is Malachite. Malachite's a type of fucking ore. It's a type of fucking rock. And he doesn't know the difference between geology and biology? Jesus fucking Christ. Anyway, I mean, who would hire these people? Why did Wade and Yutani hire these people for a mission this important? I understand the Nostromo. They were redirected while they were out there. They're space truckers. They're not meant to be geniuses. And they still did a better job than this crew that was sent out to retrieve specimens. If it was so important to Wade and Yutani, why would you not hire the very, very best? Why would you not have military personnel on board the ship? Why would you have one cyborg security officer and a subordinate for him who's about 12? The fuck is with this show? So there's a line about pie. Malachite's eating pie, and Shmuel's like, if you cut that pie up, then you technically have 2 pies. And Malachite's like, yeah, but you just eat one of those pies. And Shmuel's like, I got you with that one last time, did I? And Morrow comes in, and he's like, I need to see the blueprints. I need to see crawl spaces. I need to see everything, There's something on this ship I need to find. He's like, you're going to stay strum about this. Otherwise, I will make your shares go away. Again, shares. Why are there shares? It makes sense that there are shares in Alien. They are hauling ore or something. It's like a great big refinery on the back of the Nostromo back to Earth. It makes sense that they are going to get shares of that profit. This is a mission to go and find aliens out in deep space. What are the shares all fucking about? It's like somebody just watched Alien once, scanned the Wikipedia, and then wrote a show. Why are there shares? Why am I only 17 minutes into this piece of shit?
Could we take a break for a while? It appears my intelligence circuits have melted.
Anyway, we then go to a scene between Morrow and Clem. And Morrow's like, I need to find the saboteur. And Clem's like, how do you know who it is? It could be me. Morrow gets a knife, threatens Clem, says, is it you? Clem goes, no. Morrow's like, oh, all right then, have a gun. I need to see the communication logs. Clem says that they've been wiped. He's going to try and recover them, but it's going to take time. Zaveri is at Mother and typing it in, just saying what's happened. Captain dead, I've taken over, blah, 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 blah. And she says, look, if there's further impact on the crew by the organisms, request permission to get rid of the organisms. And it basically comes through saying, no, containment of specimens and return to Earth, top priority, acknowledge. And then after saying acknowledge a few times, it says acknowledge or security officer will take over. She's still sitting there for ages until she finally goes acknowledged. We then go to Morrow in his berth. That's how we know they've got separate berths. Kitty is there. Kitty looks exactly the same as Jonesy. Remember Jonesy? Anyway, we actually get what I could call a good scene here. We flash back to Morrow and his daughter, and he's talking to her and basically saying, look, whenever you miss me, look up. I'll be there looking back at you, because he's going on a 65-year mission. She's going to age normally, but he's doing this so that she gets a better life, presumably. I don't quite understand, because if they're getting shares, then surely you can't pay them immediately. You'd have to pay them afterwards, because otherwise, what's the point in deducting shares from people that were worrying about the shares because they've already got the money? So how's it making... I don't know, maybe we'll wait in time to look after your family or something while you're gone. Anyway, we find out that she died in a house fire at the age of 19. He's got a letter that tells him, like a fax, print off fax type thing. He's obviously got out of the control room. So we're getting a bit more about his motivation now. He's lost everything. He loved his daughter. He went into space to provide for her, presumably. That works somehow. We're not told how. I can live without that. I can imagine that. I can imagine Wade and Yutani basically say, look, we will look after your family. They will be, they will be, looked after. They'll get money while you're away because you're doing this for us. You're sacrificing, part of your life or whatever. So I'm fine with that. That's fine. It doesn't need to be told to me. I can extrapolate that information. Not a problem. But she's dead. She died 8 years into the mission. Character development. We actually had character development. I was impressed. We didn't get another crossfire showing how big the Magic Not Nostromo is. It's massive. Engineer Shmuel was given a report. The fuel reserves are fucked. Zaveri wants to wake up the rest of the crew. And then suddenly, cryopod breach. They go to the cryopod and the chest burster that was in Bronsky, even though it was cryoed, has burst out. I mean, Zaveri, the actress, I can't be asked to look up her name. I'll put it up on the screen. She's awful. This man she supposedly loved has been murdered in a horrific way, all open, it's covered in blood. The Cryopod's covered in blood. The chest bursters burst out. She don't give a fuck. She just doesn't care. She just says, how big do these things get? So Moira goes to get a gun. Big gun. Gives one to Zaveri. Says, basically, this is electric. Because Zaveri says, look, if you shoot this in here and that acid, it's going to burn through the hole and we're all going to die. Even though as acting captain, she should know about the acid spill on the floor. But whatever. Anyway. I mean, the ship's gargantuan. I can't see the acid getting all the way through to the outer hull. Electric guns. Yay! Brilliant idea. Never to be used again in the Alien franchise. Boo! We then go to Chibizo in the lab. And Chibizo is possibly the dumbest person on this ship, even more than Malachite. Oh yeah, I mean it. For a start, she's eating and drinking in the lab while there are alien pathogens all over the place with exposed stuff. She's got specimens on the desk in front of her that have been dissected. And here is a massive point that I want to bring up. Right, bear with me here because I'm going to go off on a tangent. These specimens are all 65 years old. They have to be 65 years. I mean, let's say at the very least, they're 30 years old. 30 years to get out there, 30 years to get back. Okay? Let's just say that. They're old. They've not been put in cryo. They're old specimens. In that time, this scientist, supposed scientist, DEI hire, and we're going to find out why that's such a fucking bad idea. This entire episode is about why you don't put women in charge and why you don't give a woman responsibility. Because it makes every single woman on the ship look like an absolute fucking moron. Alien was all about why you should listen to women, because Sigourney Ripley is the only smart one on the ship, really. The only one that knows, she's got the right ideas all the way through. She's eating and drinking in a lab. We can see dissected specimens. Why Weyland-Yutani have got people working on these things and not just bring them back for specialised Weyland-Yutani scientists to work on, competent ones? I don't know. But anyway, they've been doing stuff. They've been doing dissections. We can see they've got facehuggers. Had she done a dissection on a facehugger, and there is something that looks a bit like a facehugger on the thing, they would know they've got acid for blood, so they would know not to fucking... I mean, are they asleep on the ship? Are they working on the ship? Does she wake up every now and again and just decide to study the animals? What the hell is going on with the structure of this show, of this episode? Is she the only scientist? If she's the only scientist, why do they take shifts? How long are the shifts for? She's working on the animals. We can see that she's working on the animals. It gets even better in a minute. Are we supposed to believe that she's not investigated, she's not studied the facehuggers somehow? She was singing to it a bloody minute ago, and they didn't know they had acid for blood. Please. Anyway, it's gonna get worse. She's talking about the ticks, and she's saying they will feed on dead flesh if starved. Okay? She starved the ticks for 2 weeks. What if they died? What if these ultra precious specimens died while you starve them for 2 weeks? And they say they're all like 30 years old. Oh, God. She puts a rat in there for them to feed on, because obviously she's saying that they're going to feed. We need to see it. It can't just be said. And we can see that there's like a bit like the doors when Dallas is going through the Nostromo with the iris doors. It's got an opening mechanism a bit like that. So we see that. While this is all going on, the eye thing is watching her. The T. oxycalatus, or whatever it is. I don't care. The eye squid. While she's watching one of the ticks feed on the dead rat, the other one has worked to the top of the tank and opens the canister. It gets its little leg through the thing and pushes the latch to open the canister. Safety protocols, quarantine protocols, biohazard protocols. What are these? Who knows? These fuckers don't. So it opens it. The eye thing is watching, and while this is going on, the eye distracts her by tapping on the glass. And she's like, oh, that's enough out of you. Picks the eye canister up and puts it back into the slot that it came from. Bearing in mind, she's looking at it the whole time. She's looking at it the whole time. Slots it in. While this is going on, the tick scuttles out, down from the canister, to the flask of water that's open, squirts a load of little ticks into it, then slithers off into a sandwich, into her half-eaten sandwich. I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. Raheem comes in, sees the tick, calls Chibozo a muppet, which she is, grabs the tick with tweezers. Remember this. grabs a tick of tweezers, puts it back in the canister. They seal it properly, and then they leave. She takes the flask with her, and they go to a meeting that Zaveri's called. As we walk out, we see that the red light is flashing on the panel, suggesting that one of the specimens isn't secure. How did she not see this? We see that the red light is on the panel where she was looking, or on the holding bay where she was looking. How did she not see this? How? How did she not see it? It's impossible. It's literally impossible for her not to have seen this. Anyway, the eye thing slingshots itself onto the glass enough to cause momentum for the canister to fall off and break. It shatters. Who makes bio-specimen containment canisters out of easily breakable fucking glass? This is just all so the plot needs to happen. Nobody has thought about any of this making sense. Glass canisters that just shatter when they hit the floor. Fuck off! Deep breaths. So, after another establishing shot showing just how massive this ship is, we have a crew meeting. The crew that actually matter, not the ones in the quiet pods. She's not woken those up yet. So we've got the 8 Muppets or whatever, or less Muppets now because 2 of them are dead, that crew the Maginot and Nostromo. They're all there. She's already said, like, we're going to confine you to quarters. You're not going to get to go anywhere. There's a little bit of talk. She says basically there's a xenomorph loose. I don't know why she's saying xenomorph. Shmuel says we're flying on fumes. And Chibosa says, what does that mean? Okay. Zaveri then says there's a saboteur on board. Malachite says, ooh, what's a saboteur? Sounds French. Why was this written by 12-year-olds? Why was this written by 12-year-olds? Why am I watching this shit? Right. He also says, because she says we have a duty to get this sorted. And Malachite's like, oh, she said doo-doo. Not 12-year-olds, 5-year-olds. 5-year-olds wrote this. So Malachite's eating a meal. Succulent Chinese meal. And Zaveri says basically this is a meeting, not a meal. I'm docking you a 16th of a share. Okay, what a cunt. Anyway, and the flask has a clear section, because it thinks the audience is stupid and you're on your phones, a clear section where you can clearly see the tadpoles swinging about. You can see them, they're not small. This isn't like microscopic entities. It would have made sense. You know, we could have just seen the tick spray liquid into the flask and surmised what it had done. But no, these tadpoles are visible to the naked eye. They are not small. They're like, half a centimetre each. And there's clear sections on the flask. So how the fuck does nobody see these things swinging about? Anyway, the meal's really hot because he put loads of hot sauce on it. So he has to have a drink. So he's now had a drink on that. So he's now got the tick embryo, whatever is in him. Morrow says, look, I'm going to start investigating. I'm going to start calling you all in to interviews to find out who the saboteur is. And we cut back to the flask again because the audience are stupid, or at least the show thinks they are, and we can see the tadpole swimming about. Zaveri says, right, okay, that's what's happening. You're all dismissed. Chibuzo picks up the flask, looks in the flask. She's looking at the flask. There's no way she doesn't see the tadpoles. Anyway, she goes to put the flask down somewhere else, presumably because somebody else is drunk out of it, and they all walk off. We then cut to Morrow in the security room trying to recover the files. And then for some reason, the screen shows the interview that he just conducted with Rahim. So I don't know why he's watching the video, because he was just there. Show does what it wants to do. It gets worse. So we cut to the real event of him interviewing Rahim. And we find out that Rahim is basically an ex-junkie. Morrow accuses him of raiding the stores, of being a saboteur, of being back on drugs. Rahim says he's been clean for far too long. It makes sense for his character. What little of his character they've established. He's a prick. I don't care if he dies. I don't care if any of these people die. Shmuel's the only one who's got half a brain, and Morrow, but we know Morrow survives. Literally, everybody else couldn't give a shit. They're all incompetent. They all deserve to die. The Nostromo had you rooting for the people. I'm rooting for the alien. So, we then cut to Shmuel and Malachite, and here we get a half-decent piece of dialogue where Shmuel basically says, look, the shares aren't for you doing the mission. The quarter of a share you're going to get is for you giving 65 years of your life. Like, my wife now looks older than my grandmother because I've been gone 65 years. There's a concept to be explored there. It's not going to, but there is something there. He says, and when you get back, because everything you know's gone, you just, please send me on my next mission. So it's almost like indentured servitude when you sign up for Weyland-Yutani, which we've seen before. And this is all something that could be explored, this idea of this company that has so much hold that it basically has almost slaves, and that's how it gets by. And there could be some kind of level of intrigue there that could be explored, a good sci-fi concept, but no, it's not going to bother. He asks Malachite to hand him a wrench. Malachite is not feeling well. Malachite spews up blood and then collapses. And Shmuel calls for help. Zaveri and Chibuzo walk into the med bay. Didn't check the seals before they walked in. Just walked in. These people have no idea what quarantine, containment, or anything like that is. They are all complete idiots. The panel would be showing red light. Chibuzo sees the canister on the floor. And Zaveri's like, oh, what's happened? The entire bay is now lit up red. The entire bay. Don't know why it wasn't before, because all that's happened is the canister's fallen out. It wasn't attached before. There was a little red light, but now the whole thing is red because they think the audience are idiots. Chibuzo certainly is an idiot. How she didn't clock that straight up. Fuck's sake, I don't know. Chibuzo goes, she's loose. The alien is female. A lot of assuming genders going on here. So the camera, cuts to the red, empty cell. Because the audience are idiots. I certainly am for watching this shit. Right. So they leave. That is the end of that scene. That's all that scene is there for. Utterly pointless. Utterly, utterly pointless. Telling you things that you can see, showing you things that are told. Why? So then we go to Tang and Morrow's interview. And we find out that Tang has basically been visiting this sleeping cryopod girl, and I kind of get a feeling he's been wanking off over her. Don't judge me. Morrow says, I see you keep visiting her, doing your filth. Tang's been fucking creepy as fuck, going over that, visiting this girl. And then we get just another such stupid scene, like, Tang's like, oh, I know what's going on, I can't believe you haven't worked it out, it's so obvious. And he's being really creepy and speaking really slowly. Just because the computer says the cryopod is full doesn't mean it is all the time. That's the actual dialogue. And then Morrow's like, oh. And then Tang's like, you finally get it. Why don't you just tell him? Why don't you just fucking just tell him straight out that somebody getting out of cryo? Also, how is somebody getting themselves out of cryo? How did... You have to be woken up. Somebody's going into cryo and then waking up and then getting out and coming out of cryo and then walking around, sabotaging the ship and then getting back in. There's no notifications that anything's going on. You'd get a notification if a cryopod failed, surely. How does this make any fucking sense? So yeah, one of the cryopoded crew is basically getting out of cryopod. Nobody notices, getting up, sabotaging the ship while other people are awake. This would be something, if everybody was asleep, this might make sense. But we know that there's people awake on the ship because we've got the ship change bollocks. The writing is just tying itself in knots. It's such convoluted bollocks. Anyway, that's the revelation. There's somebody who's breaking out of cryo, sabotaging the ship. Morrow leaves and we see him in the security room. And at that moment, the comms are restored. Yay! He then checks all the communication logs. The first communication logs and everything are people talking to their loved ones back on Earth. Again, don't know why. Don't know why they just aren't in cryo for the entire trip. That's what it should be. There should be no need. I mean, the whole idea of cryo is you sleep all the way there. Otherwise, you are aging. It makes no sense. He says you give up. No, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. Right. So he checks all the logs, and he finds this conversation between Petrovich and Boyd Cavalier. And I'm not even kidding. Boyd Cavalier says that the chief engineer has sent him specs about what they've picked up. And basically, Petrovich is saying, look, my love got killed on this mission. I don't care anymore. She got an alien in her eyes. I can land this ship in Prodigy territory. I can give you this ship. It's got all the specimens on it. Boyd Cavalier's like, I don't give a shit about your wife, but if you can get this ship here, then I will reward you. I will make you rich. And Petrovich says, I want you to put me on one of those robot bodies. I want you to basically make me immortal. And Cavalier's like, look, we'll put you at the top of the list. You manage to pull this off, we will do that. That's not a problem. That's the end of that scene. Comms weren't regularly being checked. Wayland Yutani weren't aware of any communications, weren't monitoring anything. This guy was allowed to contact a rival company from a Wayland Yutani ship and Mother didn't notice. Bullshit. Bull fucking shit. Also, the chief engineer, the ship's broken, it's been sabotaged, and nobody's checked on the chief engineer and seen that he's not in his fucking cryopod? Fuck right off. Right off. And then when he finished fucking off, fuck off again. So Morrow's now on the hunt for Petrovich. Goes to the cryotube. We see that Petrovich's cryotube is empty. Nobody has noticed that the chief engineer is not in his cryotube. Nobody's noticed this. Nothing has informed this. Fuck is this show? Then we go to Medibay. And we need to find, obviously, what's happened to Malachite, who's been, just to bring up to date in case you've lost your mind like I have, drunk the water, been infected by ticks that anybody could see, and has them inside him. They do a scan, shows that he's got parasites. Morrow says, freeze the fucker. Zaveri says, no, open him up, do surgery, remove the parasites. While all this is going on, we cut to Tang, just sitting in the interview room. Fuck knows why. He's just sitting there. Hasn't left, just sitting there. Makes no sense. Looks up, alien grate above him. Alien kills him. He screams. He's not a simp, he's just weird. He dies horribly from the alien. But why is he just sitting there? All it took was a line from Morrow to say, right, you stay here, because you know what's going on and you haven't told me, so you're a security risk. You stay here, I'm going to get Clem to come and get you and secure you. That's all it takes. And even then, you don't believe that Tang would be the kind of character to stick around, but that's all it takes. Why am I writing your show for you? Why am I doing the fucking work here? Nothing is said, by the way. Morrow just leaves. We see him leave, and Tang just stays there and gets attacked by an alien and killed. Because the show doesn't want to do anything. The writers don't want to do anything. They just want to kill him off. They don't want to do any work. They don't want to do any work here. People got paid for this. I have to keep reminding myself here. People got paid a lot of money to write this garbage. Anyway, cut back to the medbay. They cut Mallow open. They see that there's ticks. And Chiboza's like, oh, they're ticks. Yeah, this is probably all your fault. How you haven't put the pieces together, I don't know. Rahim says, I'm going to try and remove them. I'm going to try and get them off him because they're killing him. None of these supposed doctors are wearing masks or anything like that. They even did that in Alien. Remember that? When they operated on Kane to try and get the face off him, they were wearing masks. This crew does not know what containment protocols are. They don't know what gloves are. They're just morons. And the thing is, people be like, oh, well, Wayland Yutani are setting them up to fail. I can understand Wayland Yutani setting certain people up to fail. I can understand him setting the Marines up to fail. And Burke, being the one who's like, look, I'm going to make sure that somebody's going to get infected, or I'm going to make sure that a company stooge to make sure that the eggs get back or the aliens get back or whatever. And the Marines being given a green lieutenant, so they had hardly any chance of exterminating the aliens. That makes sense. It does not make sense for Wayland Yutani to send the Maginot out on a mission with a bunch of morons who might not even make it there in the first place and blow themselves up. That makes no sense. You would want to send the most loyal, qualified, expertise people that you possibly could on this mission. The entire concept of this show makes no sense. The foundation is fucked, and therefore anything that you put on top of it is also fucked. Anyway, carrying on. Where did we get to? Oh yeah, that's right. Rahim says he was going to remove the ticks. Morrow says, no, don't do that. That's a bad idea. Shmuel's like, no, you need to save the boy's life. Give him a chance. Zaveri's like, I don't know what to do. I'm in command, but I can't make decisions. In the end, she's like, okay, do it. Rahim is literally swigging from a fucking hip flask. We can see his hand shake as he goes to remove the ticks with a pair of extracty thingies that you see. He pulls the tick off, and as he pulls the tick off, or tries to pull the tick off, it releases a gas and everybody dies in the room. So the adult ticks don't do this gas. We picked one up with a pair of tweezers earlier. If it's a defence mechanism, why didn't it do that? The tweezers earlier. I mean, you could say it's something only the babies do, but I mean, I can't. I just can't with this. I can't with this show. I just can't. So It emits a gas and Chibuzo, Rahim, and Malachite all die. The end. No more living specimens for the ticks, but that's okay because we've been told that they'll eat dead ones after 2 weeks starving. I just can't. Anyway, Clementine comes in. I presume it's Clementine. Clem Fandango.
This is Clem Fandango. Can you hear me?
I dare you to say that one more time. Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
And says Tang has been got by the big alien. Again, this is where I would have loved to have a line from Morrow just saying, stay here, Tang. I'm going to get Clem to come and get you and secure you in quarters. All it took show, and that little bit makes sense. That little bit why Tang is just sitting there getting attacked by the alien makes sense. Anyway, Morrow's like, look, we need to get to the bridge. We need to seal ourselves in. It gives us our best chance. We'll get in geosynchronous orbit and go from there. Zaveri at this point is completely frozen. As soon as Chibuzo and Rahim died, she was like, nah, she's gone. She's away of the fairies. So Morrow takes charge because she's completely useless. She's been completely useless the entire episode. She is a prime example of why you don't put a woman in a command situation. Sorry, girls. You want a decent female captain? Go and look at Janeway, Catherine Janeway. Don't look at Burnham. Burnham's awful. Go and look at Catherine Janeway. She's pretty good. So Morrow's like, yeah, we're going to wake up the rest of the crew. Don't know why they're going to wake up the rest of the crew. Surely they can't all fit on the bridge. But okay, that's what he's going to do. Goes off with Clem. But as they go past the lab, coincidence, they get ambushed by Petrovich, who shoots Clem like in the shoulder. Electric ammo? No, not here. Live rounds. Boom, 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 boom. Because, all right, yeah, whatever. And Morrow's firing back, and he's firing live rounds too. Morrow drags Clem into the lab, and Petrovich comes in through the other door because a secure medical science lab, you always want that to have 2 doors, because then you've got 2 doors that you need to make sure are pressure sealed to stop quarantine. Not just 1 door, 2 doors. I mean, what you would really think you would have is a door, and then a decontamination area, and then the lab. No. Wayland and Yutani aren't smart enough that. You've got 2 single doors. So he goes in through the other door. Rather than shooting Morrow, who's shooting him, he shoots Clem, whose head he can barely see behind cover, and kills Clem. So Clem's gone. They couldn't think of a clever way to kill him, so they just chose the stupid way. Morrow shoots back, shoots like gets the door next to Petrovich and kind of blinds him a little bit, and then goes up behind Petrovich and stabs him. And Petrovich is like, it doesn't matter. You know, they will get their monsters. Because Petrovich gives no fucks. His love died. I would like to know more about Petrovich, honestly. I would like to know more about that character and fuck off all these other morons. But never mind. We're getting there. We're getting there, guys. This has been a slog. I know this has been a slog, and I apologise, but we're getting there. The ticks come out and start munching on Clem. Because they've been starved for 2 weeks, I guess. All of them. And I don't know where all these ticks have come from all of a sudden, but okay, yeah, anyway. It's a very, this just gets worse and worse and worse, and I hope you sympathise. And if you watch this, I'd like to think that my suffering has done something for you. So then go to Zaveri, who's still standing outside the lab when she gets ambushed by the alien. Literally comes behind her, she stands around, she's sort of reaching for a gun, she's frozen, she's like, ah. Alien does nothing. Just standing there. Doesn't really attack her or anything. Trips her up, she runs away from it. The alien, which is a guy in a suit, looks really bad. Really bad. I'm sorry, actor in a suit, I'm sure you're quite good, but you're not good as an alien. It just doesn't look right. It's little wrong. And when he starts chasing her, it looks even worse. And then what we get is we get a chase sequence from the alien's perspective sometimes, and sometimes from Zaveri's perspective, of going down corridors, repeated corridors, just lit differently and arranged slightly differently, but it's reusing the same props. And I ain't got no problems with that. That's a smart budgetary decision. That's how you make savings on a budget. So no problem with reusing corridors and stuff like that, even if it is a teeny bit obvious. But the weird thing is that this alien just can't catch this woman. And she's not even running that fast. But he just can't catch her. Every time we cut back, it's like that scene from Monty Python with Lancelot. And it's like that. Every time it cuts away, the alien's just the same distance away. They just can't make any ground on her. So she can't catch her. She gets to the bridge. Shmuel's on the bridge, facing away from her. The alien gets up to the door. It's locked. She's going to go and weld it, and she sees Shmuel. Shmuel turns around, and he's got the eye in his head. How big is this ship? How fast does this eye alien move? Again, time, space, distance means nothing. And the lab is some distance away from the bridge. Not as far as it should be, because this ship is absolutely gargantuan. But, anyway, doesn't matter. Don't worry about any of that. Don't worry, don't ask questions.
Don't ask questions. Just consume product and then get excited for next product.
So he's got the eye alien in him. He's like, and then he attacks Zaveri. The alien is pounding on the door, trying to get through, which it should be able to do because it was able to do it in the first episode without too much difficulty when it wanted to get Morrow. And it just decides to bugger this and just scampers off across the ceiling. Before it's even out of earshot, Morrow comes through a hatch outside the bridge. There's no way the alien doesn't detect him. No way. But it's just gone. Anyway. So Morrow can't use the code to open the door, so he brute forces it. He just lifts it up with his cyborg arm. Strong. Shmuel is standing some distance away. Then it's really weird. The door's not closed behind him in the bridge. Shmuel turns around and then sort of makes a noise, calls the alien in. The alien comes in behind Morrow. Zaveri kind of stands up. Morrow shoots Shmuel with the electro gun. Now he's using the electro gun to get past him to get into the safety room where we see him in episode 1. Zaveri gets up and runs after Morrow, while Shmuel, this human with an eyeball alien in him, attacks the alien. Jumps on the alien and starts attacking him and biting the alien. I'm not even kidding, he's trying to bite the alien. The alien eventually stabs Shmuel in the back. I'm trying to describe this, it's so dumb. And then wrestling flips him onto a console. All of this is happening while Zaveri is sort of like running after Morrow, trying to get into the room. And then he stabs Shmuel in the neck with his tongue, presumably killing Shmuel. Don't know why he's not going for the alien, but in the eye, but he's not. Don't know why he's not going for the head. They normally go for the head. The eye alien jumps out of Shmuel and attacks the alien. Even though the alien's got no eyes, no orifice that it can squeeze into, it attacks the alien. And the alien's thrashing about with this little eye alien on him. It looks lame. There's some things you never want to see. And one of them is this alien struggling with a tiny little eyeball alien on it. It just looks lame. Anyway, we're now more or less recreating the bit from episode 1 where Morrow is in the control room and says, "Crew all dead." For some reason, "Crew dead" flashes up on his forehead the right way round, even though it's mirrored a reflection from the screen, so it should be backwards. But they clearly think the audience is so stupid that they couldn't read "Crew dead" backwards. If the audience was the writers of the episode, I would suspect they were right. So from this, it's pretty much that. The alien gets the eye monster off, attacks Zaveri, who's doing some very bad acting, pleading to be let through the door. Glad she's finally dead. Really annoyed she was the last one. Morrow gets in his pod. Alien can't get in pod for some reason. Ship crashes. After this, I didn't think it could get worse. But it's now about to make even less sense. And this is what I'm talking about. Writing, time, space, teleporting, non sequiturs. None of it makes sense. We then cut to Morrow, who's now Weyland Yutani, all wearing different clothes, all dressed up, reporting to Yutani. How? We've seen that Weyland Yutani is on the other side of the planet. How did he get out of New Siam? How did he get out of Project Control when they know that there's somebody there? He's got a stolen mobile phone. How has he managed to get out of Project to Weyland Yutani? Anyway, he's gone back to Weyland Yutani. Okay, he's left slightly alone. He told Slightly to get a human to get attacked by a facehugger so that he could take him back to Weyland Yutani. He told him to do that in the last episode. Now he's fucked off to Weyland Yutani. That presumably has taken some amount of time. What if Slightly has done that in the meantime? The alien's going to hatch. He's got no control over it. He can't get the specimen. He's now gone back to Weyland Yutani So basically, Wayland Yutani says, like, you know, you will have whatever you need to secure the specimen. So clearly he's going to get a load of soldiers and go back, and there's going to be this big fight, because that's what the series wants to happen. But why is he left slightly to do this task? I wouldn't trust Slightly to open a fucking can of beans on his own.
Doesn't anyone notice this? I feel like I'm taking crazy pills!
And it's just left him for God knows how long. So what's going on in the meantime? Are we supposed to believe that everything that happens in the next episode, when we finally get back to the children, has happened while he's away in Yutani? Time, space, these things matter. We need to know where things are, why things are happening, how long it takes, what's happening at the same time. We have no idea. No idea at all. The fuck is going on, show? Anyway, it then ends with the Smashing Pumpkins. There's your cut for the 5th episode's credits. So that's the end of the episode. It's all done. Thank God for that. It was an hour long. I don't know how I've managed to go that long without knowing whether or not Nibs is actually pregnant. How I've managed to miss out on Wendy talking to and stroking the alien. I hate this boomerang storytelling where they cut away from something and then give you a whole... This should have just been the first episode. There's no real mystery or intrigue here. Putting it here just makes everything look worse, because it then has to contend with everything that happened in between. And the answer is that everybody's an idiot. Wayland Yutani are morons for hiring these people. You tell me there's no psychology checks, no competence checks. Malachite couldn't negotiate his way out of a paper bag. Why is an apprentice engineer? Why do you have an apprentice engineer on a mission of this import? You'd have an apprentice engineer on like a local solar system mission, you know, something nearby. You wouldn't. Why is the chief engineer not informed when the ship's practically full? I just can't. I just can't with this show. It is hands down one of the worst things I have ever seen. And the thing is, all the Access Media are like, oh, this is the best thing since Alien, like they said with Romulus. This is amazing. This is a tribute to Alien. No, this is somebody taking Alien and raping it for an hour. What AI would do if you asked it to make Alien, but everybody's a retard. I just can't. There is so much of this episode doesn't make sense. Nearly every scene is a non sequitur. Nearly every single scene in this episode just doesn't make sense. There are problems with it. Be it a scientist who's the least qualified scientist in the world.
That does not make sense!
Operating these aliens. Be it they not knowing that the facehuggers have acid for blood, despite us seeing that they have dissected a whole lot of specimens.
It does not make sense!
The fact that a guy called Malachite doesn't know the difference between biology and biology.
Does that make sense?
The fact that they have no idea that... I can understand if it was a nobody, but the chief engineer of the ship and nobody knows that he's out of his cryopod?
None of this makes sense!
While the ship's down, you don't forget any person checks on him. I just can't. The episode, the writers think they've gathered some zany, eclectic bunch of characters together, but there's bugger all characterisation for any of them. You get more characterisation out of one scene with the alien crew than you do out of this. Remember, like the scene where they're all just talking on the Nostromo, and you've just got Brett going, right. You can tell he's that kind of a guy, you know, kind of a no fucks given, kind of just there for the job, doing the job. You know that him and Parker sort of, we're going to try and get some extra shares because we're just the grease monkeys. You get their character. You see when they're fucking about with Ripley with the steam. You see that Parker's the one that fucks about, and Brett's just one. I'm just taking it easy. I'm just chilled. You get characterization with hardly any lines, just things they do. You know what kind of a person they are. With this, I just wanted everybody to die. I genuinely, Shmuel was the only one. Shmuel, and obviously we know more. I just wanted everybody to die. Waiting, just you're all idiots, and they kill themselves. Raheem's got a higher body count than the fucking alien has. Just shocking. Absolutely shocking. Beyond anything. This is just beyond the level. I was kind of like half hoping that we got to see what happened. Because I was like, that one little scene at the start of episode 1 can't be all there is. That would be such a waste. It must be more than that. After this, I wish that first scene in episode 1 was all we had. This has done nothing to improve things. And we still don't know where those eggs came from. The eggs that are outside of the canisters on the ground. We still don't know where they came from. Are we supposed to believe the aliens laid them? Anyway, that's the end of Alien Earth episode 5. I will be back for Alien Earth episode 6 next week. Please, if you have enjoyed this, and particularly if you got my Bronski joke, chuck me a comment, a like, or a sub. I'd really appreciate it. I'm probably going to need to pay for the therapy, and I'll see you guys next time. I have been Critic. Thanks for watching.
Does that make sense?